good evening, and good night. I am Neil, and I am here on a Monday night. I decided to do a show. I really wasn't going to do a show, to be honest with you, but it was time to get back on the horse and start my show again. Um, been off for a little bit, been dealing with a lot of things, life as we know it, and I've been dying to start again. Um, Making some changes, gonna make some changes to my show, but this year we're definitely gonna be doing it more consistently and going live consistently and doing little excerpts of little things that I want to share, little nuggets I want to share with the public ever so often. Just want to wish everybody a happy new year. In fact, let me just put that up. Should have put Happy New Year up there as a banner. I don't know why I never do it this time. But yeah, Happy New Year, everybody. Welcome to another year of irrelevance. I don't know. Welcome to another year of pursuit for true happiness. This year is no different. We are given this one life to live, and until proven otherwise, and nobody has proven it to me. Sorry for all the believers, but nobody's proved it to me otherwise. Until proven otherwise, this is the life where we have. And in living this life, I try not to take it for granted. I know a lot of us do. It's very difficult not to take it for granted because you feel like, you know, there'll be an afterlife and there's other reasons why I don't have to do what I need to do today so I can do it tomorrow. Not in my book. I have yet to hear anyone leave this earth, come back, after a couple weeks, maybe a month, and tell me that after this life, Neil, 10 times better than this one. Don't worry about this one. Worry about the next one. I've yet to see that. And until I see that, my perspective on life is enjoy today, enjoy, look forward to tomorrow, appreciate being here and experiencing yesterday. So I'm happy, very, very happy to not only be alive, to be alive in this era, in this time, at this very moment, and to share my life with some special, special people out there. There are some wonderful human beings out there, and then there are the others. There are those who are hell bent on making life difficult and making life unbearable. And then there are those who just come and renew your faith in the human being, in human nature. And those are the people that I live for, and those people I appreciate. That's one of the reasons why I do what I do. Because if I didn't care about the human cause or the human being, I wouldn't even do anything like this. While this is cathartic and therapeutic for me, it is what people have told me over the years, over the months, the past few months especially, doing a forum like this and going on IG Live. It's that which has inspired me to continually doing this, to continue to do this. Because honestly, there's no other reason to do it other than to that you're reaching out to someone and someone is listening. And sometimes I underestimate that people do pay attention, but they do. The funny thing is, when I'm on live here, sometimes I barely see anybody come on, and even IG. But yet, ever so often, I'll have people come to me and say, Neil, thank you. Geez, Neil, that's your show. I really love it. I really watch it when I get a chance. I go back and watch it after you broadcast it. Cheers, Happy New Year's. And I am sometimes in awe, sometimes a little embarrassed because I'm thinking, wow, they sell my show, they never even come on there and say anything. Or maybe they don't, they're, look at it from a judgmental point of view that, oh, okay, I'm not that good on here or whatever. But every time I say I'm not gonna do this anymore, somebody out there, a few people call me, where's your show? What do you think? I know I don't catch it live, but Neil, I watch, I go back, I check it out or whatever. I don't know. A lot of times they don't say anything, so it's kind of like a deterrent. I'm like, oh, I don't want to do this anymore. But I do this because yes, it's therapeutic and cathartic for me, but it is reaching somebody. And you know what? With this life, if somebody hears, somebody's listening, somebody's paying attention, it means something to me. So why not keep doing it? I'm here about maturity and growth and truth and integrity and the protection of our families, our Caribbean families, our Black families, our Jamaican families, and our Jamaican community. And anyone who understand me know that I'm always fighting for the plight of the Black man, of the Jamaican man. I'm always defending us because we haven't been defended for a while. We haven't been protected for a while. We've been like the beating stick, the pinata for a lot of group and a lot of people. And being black, forget just in America or in Jamaica, I'm talking about the world, is a very difficult place to live for us. We can't hide who we are. We can't hide beyond our skin color. Other races, other ethnicities can. They can. Whether you're Jewish, whether you're from you're European, let's say European, you're Eastern European, or even Middle Eastern, they can hide under the guise of being Caucasian. Barring that they don't have a dark feature or certain features, Italians and so forth, they can pass as Italians and so forth. So they can pass. We, as men of color, cannot easily just, you know, pass. Some of us, yes, we're born, we're born, like that movie Imitation of Life. We're born with a lighter skin color. We can pass in society and get away with it. The majority of us cannot. So we have to live with it and we have to deal with it. And nobody can ever, not even black women. Black women say they can understand what it means to be black, but not, they cannot understand what it means to be a black man in life, in society, in this Western world. But we have to deal with certain things that most don't even have to understand, won't understand unless they're living it. From the day you wake up to feeling like you have a responsibility, not only for your black woman, not only for your spouse, not only for your children, but your children's children. You feel like you have a responsibility to create a legacy for them, to create a protection, this force field of protection for them, for the future. So you do everything you can. That pressure of getting up and knowing that not only you have to protect yourself, but you have to protect them. They look at you as providers and protectors. And as a black man, because you feel less than, sometimes treated even less than, that pressure can be overwhelming. Not only physically, but definitely mental. And the problem is mentally, we don't deal with it properly. And we don't address it accordingly. And we don't look at it as, okay, something that needs to be nurtured. It's just not in our nature to be nurturers, but a lot of us are nurturers. And we need that support. We need that person tell us everything is gonna be okay. You wake up in a country that deem you less than. It's okay. I got your back. And we haven't been seeing that a lot. We have been asked to do a lot, asked to provide a lot. With all due respect, it is warranted. Yes, we have responsibilities as men, as black men, but as far as being, you know, appreciated, as far as being told, I got your back, we know mentally what you're going through. And part of it's our responsibilities. A lot of us are afraid to expose that emotional side of us. So we hide it and we pretend otherwise, like it doesn't exist. But it's super important that we expose that side of us to let people know that, listen, we hurt. We're in pain sometimes. We need your support. We need your guidance. Ladies and gentlemen, we need each other to look out for each other when it comes to our emotional state and status and stability. A lot of us shy away from it. We try not to discuss it. As a black man, as a Jamaican, it is not something that we discuss. So, when I do this and I do these kind of things, yeah, I don't get a lot of exposure for it, but I'm always, my thing is for the growth, maturity, and integrity to and the protection of our families and our black community. It is why I do what I do. And it's good that people watch it after. I appreciate it that I have people that come back and go in and out and check on me or whatever. But I wish the conversation will be had more amongst our community. um I just believe that we are here to lead. I believe because of all what we are dealing with, a lot of us are need to lead, and a lot of us need to follow. There's some of us just can't lead, and a lot of us need to follow. But there's not a lot of leadership in our community, and not a lot of men standing up. Everybody's for their own. Everybody's to highlight how much they have, and show off and all that. They don't like to give of themselves, and that's the world we live in. It's a me world. What's do for me lately, and it is what it is. But listen, I want to leave this world better than I came and saw it. And if this, even if it's the little bit of electronic footprint that I leave by saying some of this thing, and somebody somewhere will hear, and it will touch someone somewhere, I'm going to do it, and I'm going to keep doing it until somebody tell me, don't do it. Typically, that somebody's my wife, but um, anybody out there that it's not helping. I mean, I still have people coming and telling me, "Yo, I love your show. I love when you go on there and you talk the things." And I talk the things. I do what I can. I go up on here and I talk and I say what I want to say, and I try to lead by example. Be a good family man. Be a good husband. Be a good father. Be a good grandfather. A good son, brother, friend. And sometimes that's very difficult, because you have life. Life happens, and sometimes you have people who sometimes kind of make you feel like, okay, you're doing too much, or you're not doing enough, or who do you think you are, kind of attitude. Doesn't bother me. What bothers me is when they don't see me at all. And you know it is what it is, and so we continue. I mean, house rules, you know how it is on here. I'm not going to be on here very long, but you know how it is. We keep it respectful. We stick to the facts, logics, and statistics. And while feelings have a place, facts, always facts over feelings. We stick to the general consensus of the public. The majority, as the majority, is typically the rule, and the rule is the rule. So let's stick with the rule, not the exception. Um, when it comes to relationships, and that's what I usually talk about, and I'm just gonna jump on that really quick because that's really what I want to deal with for the rest of this year, is continue talking about our maturity in the relationships we keep. Um, we have to decide whether this, this life that we're living and the relationships we keep, if they're worth working on. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, once in a relationship, it should work out, everything should be fine, whatever. And it really doesn't work that way. In life, it really doesn't work that way. In life, really and truly, in everything that you do in life, you have to work on it. There's nothing that comes easy. I don't care who tell you otherwise. Nothing comes easy in this world. You have to work on it. You have to work on yourself. You have to constantly, you know, I mean, if you have a job, if you go to your job every single day, You can't just go to your job every single day and expect to be promoted, expect to stay status quo, just showing up every day. You have to work on. You have to constantly be better than you were yesterday, or you risk the lose of you risk the you risk being removed and replaced. Relationships is no different. And I notice that people just take it for granted. And I'm talking about friendships too. I'm talking about your job. I'm talking about your family members. Yeah, even your family members you take for granted because you feel like you'll always and forever be there. And that's not necessarily the case. You know, that person can pass at any given time. So yeah, while you won't be replaced as a family member, the person can leave, and you can, that this person can leave the earth at any given time, and you can regret not telling them, how you feel and what part they play in your life. And I see it enough, I experience it enough to know that it is a fact. We take for granted too much that people will forever be in our lives. And what we do is just we go along just to get along, and we continue our life like nothing matters, or I mean that person will be forever. So why don't we just, it's okay, it's not a big deal. Let's just continue moving on and carrying on and going on our daily basis, our daily lives. And then one day that person leaves, and then all of a sudden, oh my God, my life is destroyed. How can you live without this person? Well, this person was there all along, and you literally didn't pay any attention to them. You literally took it for granted their existence. It's one thing that I have decided this past couple of years here is stop taking for granted that people will always be here. Not taking for granted for the things that you want to say, that maybe I can say it tomorrow, next week, next year. A lot of us go and walk to inanimate objects, telling the inanimate object things that we should have said in person. Hoping that the inanimate object of a gravestone or a mausoleum wall is going to respond back and say thank you for sharing that about that you wanted to share. Thank you. Wait until the person is an inanimate object. We're looking at pictures. Oh man, I love you. I miss you so much. Can I tell you how much I appreciate you? How many of you have done that? How many of you have waited for that picture of a person long gone to tell them how much you appreciate and love them, how much you care for them? I've never seen, the most I've ever seen men be emotional is when they lose a friend, a male friend even, and tell a male friend, the dead male friend, how much them love them. And when they're alive, oh, no homo, I can't say that. They can't say it. And my community is no different. My Jamaican community is like, man, my own mother, I never heard, I love you until I was 24. And yes, I knew she loved me. It shows in her actions, but you want to hear it. That reassurance, verbal reassurance, is something else. It's something that we need to hear, we need to share with each other. But we take it for granted and we don't say anything. Never heard of I love you from my mother until I was 24, when my daughter was born. And my daughter was about almost 1 year old. And she almost was, she started talking and she started learning to say, I love you. And she said, I love you, Nana. And it wasn't me, my mother said it to, it was my daughter. Because she was forced to. She's like, what's she going to do? Pretend otherwise? Yeah, we know the person love you, but that, telling you, that reassurance, it's like having your job and you go to your job every day, you work hard, and your boss don't say a word to you. Your boss say, good night, good evening. You do your job, good night, good evening. After a while, you're going to feel away. You're going to be like, oh no, I want to hear you did a good job today. Yeah, I know you give me a raise. That's fine. That's good. Nice raise. But you want the verbal acknowledgement. There's something about that. Something that almost like it ties in to your core and to your being. It makes you feel whole, that you're actually appreciated. It's why I push verbal affirmations when you're in relationship. Telling somebody, I love you. 1 second. There's nothing greater than hearing I love you from the person that you truly love. One of the hardest things is trying to say it when the person is not around and no longer around, and you think back and wonder, wow, I had this opportunity to share how I feel, share all the things I was thinking, all the advice I wanted from them, and I didn't. We look at pictures after the person gone. We go to their grave sites and divulge, we tell them everything that we wanted to tell them after they've gone. Look at Facebook pages. How many of you have done it? I've done it. I'm not going to lie. Look at the person Facebook page and like, man, gone so young. Man, if you were around, man, I would have tell you all this stuff I wanted to tell you. I was supposed to call you last week. I was gonna reach out to you and find out if you're okay, if you needed to talk to someone. How many have done it? I know that if any of you on social media, I've been on social media in a while, and I know somebody who have died who is active on social media. I know a lot of you go back on the last time you can't contact the person. How many of you have done that? I know for a fact I have, but I know that a lot of you have also. After the person passed away, you're like, damn, them gone. And you start look through all of your thing. When was the last time I talked to this person? Oh man, the person reached out to me last year or 6 months ago, and I was supposed to reach back. I had a colleague, a friend of ours that died. A friend of mine that died, or a colleague, I'd say, associate. We were somewhat friends. We spoke a few times, quite a few times. And, you know, after they died and I posted out, sorry said that they died, my condolences to their family. I had 2 phone calls. And one of the phone calls, funny enough, was a young lady who was friends with him that I didn't even know was friends, and she didn't know we were friends. And she started crying on the phone and telling me how sad she was that he died, that they kept in contact, and he was supposed to come by to do something for her. And she kept saying, yes, soon, soon, soon. And then she saw me post that he had passed. And she was, of course, as you can imagine, heartbroken to the most. She was bawling on the phone and saying, Neil, I can't believe it. I should have called him and said, yeah, come take care of that. You say you promised you wanted to come by and do this. And it was devastating. How many of you, how many have lost someone in the past year or 2 and have gone back in your messages, gone back on your last post, on their last post, and you had scrolled by it and you never even said a word? You never even click a like. And then a lot of you going back and no liking page after they've passed. Because now you want to feel like oh yeah, I was part of their life. You have an opportunity to do that at any given time. This particular moment, to be part of somebody's life who is still around, that you say you care about. Now, I'm not talking about somebody you don't really care about and you're not really participative in their lives. But people are around that once they're gone, you'll miss them. The pain you would feel, you know it. And you have every opportunity to say, I appreciate you. Not much people call me and wondering, like, what's wrong with Neil? He's sending me, is everything okay, Neil? Because I send them, I appreciate you. Just want you to know that. Thank you. Just want you to know that I was thinking about you today. I hope everything is all right. Man and woman. Man and woman. I have no problems doing that. I have this one life. I am not ashamed of it. I have seen people come and go, and the regrets in between of that person that you could have shared or you had shared a special time in the past with. And you appreciate that person's existence, but because of your little ego, because you don't want nobody feeling a special way, you don't want them things, I think about them that much. And then after they're gone, you're like, you know what, we're kind of good friends, Yo, me and a person that share a lot of good times, All of a sudden now you start appreciating the time. They didn't know. That's why they didn't reach out to you too much. Because you never shared that once. You never told them how much you appreciate them. I have a few, WhatsApp chat groups that I'm on. And one of the things that I posted, and Happy New Year, because most of them are, gents. I post on there like, gentlemen, brothers, I appreciate you. I want you to know that. And before I lose anybody else, I just want you to know that I appreciate the company that I'm amongst. Because if you weren't respected, I wouldn't be amongst you as a company. I tell them that. Happy New Year and thank you. Thank you for sharing part of your life with us or with me. Because you don't have to. You have to tell anybody anything. You have to share anything. A lot of us take that for granted until somebody's gone. Then all of a sudden, oh, that is my best friend. It's my good friend, my best friend, my homie, my sister. This year, after we've gone through the pandemic and the loss of so many people, if you haven't changed, I'm not saying me personally to be your best friend. No, I have enough friends. I'm good. But I am saying you personally need to audit your life, audit your surroundings, audit those that you say are so important to you, and measure, have you been showing it? Have been giving that appreciation verbally, physically, emotionally? Have you been, reciprocating the efforts that they make to be part of your life? Are you going to wait until that time on Facebook when you see somebody post RIP? Man, gone so too soon, before you scramble and a search through Facebook and Instagram trying to find out what happened because you were part of their lives? Are you going to wait to go through the messenger to see when was the last time you even said what's up to this person? Not because you needed something, not because you wanted to know something, but just because. When will be the next time? The next RIP? That's what I need everybody to do. This year sometime, audit your life and the people that you claim to be friends. Facebook friends or otherwise. No, I'm not talking about even associates, but associates also, because associates matter. Some people that are not, I do this thing where, and I had learned it from somebody, I don't know if it was an ex or a friend or whatever, but this thing where everybody play a part in our show. Everybody has a show, right? Let's just say that. Everybody has a show. Everybody's is on the stage, and your friends and associates and people around you are in the audience. Now, there's some people that are right up front, typically your family members, mom, sister, brother, kids, whatever, they're in front. Some of them come on stage, they're part of the show. There's others in the back. They talk to you, see them. They're part of the show. They're in your front row. There's some that are on the balcony. Now they're high, you have them high esteem, but they're not close to you. But just look at them in high esteem. And you refer to them every time you wave to them, you always acknowledge them. Now, everybody in the audience gets acknowledged because they're a part of your life. But some people are closer than others. Some people you can look eye in eye, you can see them, you know exactly. You can see the color of their eyes, you know every intimate part about them. And those who are far away, you respect them. They're part of your world, but they're not intimately near you or close to you. But ever so often you wave and you see them and you respect them because they respected you. They showed up to your show. You have to acknowledge everyone. You have some of you that just ignore those people, and you ignore those people in the audience. Some of you even ignore the ones in your family that's there. And then when those people are missing, you look around and like, my audience look less. Oh, that person missing. Damn, when was the last time I said wave to them over there? And they were participative in my being. Now we know where these people are in the different levels of our lives. We know where they are, they what parts they play in cheering us on in the audience of life. Some people scream really loud up top, but they're still part of your life. And you still have to acknowledge them, especially when they're loud. And they acknowledge you and you know that you're not close because you don't see each other every day. You don't go to their house there, but you know that they're there. They're always acknowledging you. There's a few people that I had to contact ever so often that are constantly in my wife and I in our corner when it comes to our marriage. And we don't see each other every day. We don't talk every single day, but because every time I see them, they make me feel like I matter, that our relationship matters to them. I have to acknowledge that person, those people, because they mean something to me. Special part in my life, special part in my audience. We have these people in our audience, and all the time, we have all the time in the world to just say, hi, thank you. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for cheering me. I appreciate the holler. Oh, you would interrupt me. I appreciate you too. But what we do, we take it for granted. They're gonna die. I'm gonna walk out on stage. You're gonna be there. You just ignore them. And a couple of people who spend quick money, you pay attention to that person. Or people who will give you a little ridiculous attention. You pay attention to them because they're there. And that person is way behind because they couldn't afford to be up front, or they're just not part of your life in that way. But you see them, you notice them. And you only recognize them and recognize their existence. They're gone. I should have said this. And you see everybody talking about that person. You're like, yeah, they're in my audience too. And in some of these people I don't and talk to them, and you're like, I meant to call them last week. And you didn't. Recognize those who are in your audience. Don't wait until the last minute. Stop waiting until you see the RIP on social media to scramble around, to wonder why I never even try. Could have tried even that much, just this much. Could have click a little like and say, hey, just want you to know, thank you. Appreciate that post. Yeah, it is the world we live in. Social media, it is what it is. But it gives us a great opportunity in the history of man to at least recognize another human being without recognizing another human being. And yeah, they said there's a little adrenaline thing on social media. When you click like, love, you respond and so forth. And we take it for granted. But there is a little spike in your, a spike of euphoria when you're acknowledged. And I get that. I understand it. But nothing beats a call, a phone call, a check, even a little thumbs up on a text, something to acknowledge their existence in your audience, that audience of people in your life, for your show, your personal show. How many of you have seen RIP on there? How many times? And you go back and scroll. Did I contact this person the last time? They said, what's up? Oh man, they like my thing and tell me, say, great work on this thing, or congratulations, or happy birthday. And I didn't even go back and like them. I said, thank you. I said, appreciate you. Thank you for acknowledging me. Then you want to walk around like, oh, in regret, like, oh, that was my best friend. Most time you don't even know the person's last name or what they do on a daily basis. I try my best to acknowledge everybody who acknowledges me, or acknowledge those who I think deserves acknowledgement. Not perfect at it, but I do. I appreciate every human being in my audience. And when I say audience, I'm not talking about this show, I'm talking about the audience of life that we take for granted. This past year, I have to say, I have decided, those who have taken me for granted, I'm going to step back. I must still watch them, still see them, still acknowledge them, but I'm no longer going to walk out to the audience to climb up on the balcony just to meet with them when they don't care to meet with me. Sometimes some people just want to stay on the balcony and you have to leave them. You have to sometimes leave them up there and deal with those who are in front of you, but still acknowledge them, but deal with those intimate relationships that are there, that's right in front of you. Be participative in your own life. Hear what I just said. Be participative in your own life. Don't be an audience member. Reach out to people. There are people out there that need people to talk to. Yeah, men too, especially Jamaican and black men. We act like we don't, but we do. A lot of us need to talk. Sometimes you have to force it out of us. You're in a relationship with somebody who doesn't talk much. Trust me, that's the person that probably needs you to talk to them the most. A lot of us too. I'm a member of that of this group. We look very social, but we're loners. We look very outgoing and extrovert, but there's a lot of introvert about a lot of things that are introverted about us. We look like we love the crowd, but a lot of times we prefer to be alone. The crowd is just part of who we are, our life, and how we live our life. But honestly, I prefer a lot of time solitude. I appreciate the crowd. I appreciate people, appreciate human beings. But for the most part, there are times when I just sit and be with myself, by myself, to reason with me, so to speak, if you want to look at it without sounding crazy. But there, one of the things I try to do now, I've been doing it for the past few years actually, is recognize when somebody needs to talk and not take it for granted that they're just going to be there. And if they want to talk, they will call me. And if there's something bothering them, they will say it. You see, we have a thing where we grew up in, from our country and the Caribbean, where we like to hide our I don't want to say intimate lives, but our lives, period, and information about ourselves, because we feel like somebody's going to use it against us. So a lot of times when things happen, a lot of us, we were taught, don't ever say nothing, because you're going to find out it go all over the place. Everybody going to talk about you, or they're going to hear it. And that's why you have to choose. You have to choose wisely who's in your corner. And you have to choose what part you play in somebody's corner, that you're trustworthy enough, that you're loved and respected enough, that the person can open up and talk to you. Because you might be that one person that saved that person from their own demise, or going down the wrong pathway that might cause their own demise. I can't tell you how many times I have been saved. And I don't mean it in any way like I'm going to hurt myself or whatever. I'm talking about life in general. Going down the wrong pathway, making the wrong decisions, saying the wrong things to the wrong person, saving certain relationships, where if had not someone intervened and said, Neil, I don't think that's a good idea still. Don't think you should do that. Look at it from this perspective. And the reason why I talk and I tell people my business, people always say, well, you need to chat so much, you tell your business. No, I talk and I tell my business. I'll tell you why. And I say it all the time, even when I'm having these discussions. I'm always open to contrasting views. And I like that about me. Short of you calling me out of my name and calling me something that's not me, or calling me a liar, that's my little line. There's not much opinion you can give me that can offend me. Not money. Very, even if it sounds, it's beyond the stretch of our imagination. It's some crazy thing that you say. There's very not much you can say that really pissed me off. Other than again lying to me or calling me a name that I did not call myself, or I wouldn't call myself. Call me out of my name, basically. Other than that, I always say this one thing: you either will strengthen my argument or you'll change my mind. And either way, it's a win-win situation for me. I don't lose. I don't lose your opinions with the people's opinions. I like opinions. They either strengthen my argument or they'll change my mind. And that's the best way to be in life. Whether it's religion, politics, I'm not afraid to talk about anything. I'm not. Call me. You can talk about anything you want to talk. I will sit there and have a conversation with you. Now, if it's not worth talking about, if it's about gossip and all that, and it's not mutually beneficial to us, then yeah, I'll probably end the conversation quickly. But if you want something to talk about, something about your life, um, that's why I guess I feel that's why I've been like a magnet to a lot of people who have called me over the years and talk mostly about relationships because they see me in my relationships, how I conduct myself, and I think that's the reason why I get so many calls about that because I assume that I'm a lot easy. I'm easy listener, and I'm if you ask me my opinion, I will give it to you, unvarnished most times, but I'll give it to you. I'm very tactful, but I'll give you my opinion, and I think that's how this forum started. That's why I started this. You know, see where it's going. I don't know, but I like what I do. Like talking. It's what I love doing. And it gives me a way to check myself, check my own sanity sometimes, but leave room for people to come and talk to you. Always leave that door open. You never know whose life you might save, whether yours or somebody else's. You know, it is what it is. This is again one life we're given, and whoever decide whether it's worth living, if it's worth leaving this life better than we came and see it, leaving a legacy that somebody says, okay, this person, yeah, they changed my life. Um, I learn from every single person, good, bad, or indifferent. I learn from everybody I cross paths with. I learn something. Always something to learn from someone, interacting with them. It's the greatest thing ever. And I love it because it's not only gives me an insight of the human psyche, but even into myself in terms of, okay, am I like that person? Or am I seeing things that way? Maybe that's how people see me. Oh, I say certain things. Even if the person agree with me, I'm like, yeah, and if it sound like that to them, you know? Yeah. So yeah, leave that window open. There are people out there that needs to hear from you. And they need you. And you might not realize that they do because you take for granted that they exist and that they're there and they'll always be there. And no, they'll not always be there. Guaranteed. They're not always going to be there. I tell my daughter always, appreciate the fact that your dad is around because I'm going one day. I hope to go before her, of course, but I'm going one day. So I make it worth every time I see her, I tell her I love her. Every time I see her, I give her advice, even though she don't want to hear it. And it's annoying and I piss her off because no matter how much she says she not hear it, the day I die, she's going to hear it. She's going to go back through everything that I ever told her, every annoyance, every, okay, dad, I heard you. And she really didn't hear me. And then when I leave and I'm not on this earth anymore, she'll remember everything. Everything that my dad taught me, I got to tell you, it's been 16 years since my dad passed. And Ever so often, I realize something new about my father that my father taught me growing up. Things that even when I was at, you know, in my 20s and my teens, when he's around, I took for granted and I didn't listen and I didn't learn from it. I understood it, but I was critical of it as a man. And for that reason, because now that I've, in retrospect, gone back on some of the stuff he said, did, how he carried it and conducted himself, I'm a better man for it. And I am my father in so many ways, mostly the good ones. I don't know if I'm maybe a couple of ways that I might not, I don't want to be, but the great parts about him, I can proudly say I am my father, and I appreciate it. You know, his DNA is live and well in me, and my brothers too. My mother, we always knew that we, got my chatty from my mother, my intelligence and my, all the compliments I hear from people, all the compliments I hear people say and talk about, I got from my father. A lot of them. I mean, some from my mother, but the charity part is from my mother for sure. My mom is someone who, she gives a lot, and I appreciate that. And she that part of me where I'm quick to help people. Um, I got that from my mother, but my father, I learned not to underestimate the power of that, you know, DNA strand, that characteristic that sometimes you look back and go, you used to look down on and like, no, man, I don't want to be like that person. I don't want to be like my mother that way or my father that way. It has become probably my greatest attribute. And I appreciate him. Cheers to my father, my late dad. I appreciate him more than I have ever had in my life. And I'm about to be 50 in about 4 or 5 months. And right now, he's the biggest influence in who I am on a daily basis as a man. My mother is still around. She's going to be 80 in about 2 weeks. And I appreciate every day, even when she annoyed the crap out of me. I love my mom to death, and she is part of me. I am part of her. And if you are out there and you're somebody I've interacted with, and I hope it's been in a positive way, I want you to know I appreciate any second you took to pay attention to anything that I've had to say, share, give, even a smile that it made your day better than it was 2 minutes before. I just want you to know I appreciate you. If there's anything I can leave before I sign off in a minute, is this: your audience matters. Pay attention to each and every person in it, acknowledge them, and you'll never have a regret when they leave or they're no longer around. Thank you for joining me. It's just a special night. I'll be here next week and I'll do our after chat on IG. And I wish you a wonderful 2022. Happy New Year. Good night. Oh, yes.